Hello, all. How are you? Hope you had a great holiday. Thank you so much for joining us. Keith is not here. He had a long day today, so it's just going to be me. So thank you. I am Kerwin. This is Father.Son.Galaxy. We are going to talk about Secret Invasion Episode 2. Now, I know Episode 3 just dropped today, but we're a little bit behind. So we'll get back on track. So we'll review 2 tonight. And then Sunday, we'll pick up Episode 3 then. So the question is for this episode, Episode 2, can humans and Skrulls live together on Earth in harmony? Talos thinks so. Fury, not so much. All right, so let's talk about it. If you're new to the channel, thank you for joining us. We just want to remind you that we are on our race to 1,000 subscribers. We're about 40 away, 43 subscribers away, so we can do it. We're hoping to get it done in June, but yeah, we'll just keep going. All right, but we'll get there. All right, and thank you once again to those who have joined. And this will be a spoiler review of episode 2, Secret Invasion. All right, let's talk about it. So it opens up. The episode is called Promises. It's written by Brian Tucker, story by Brant Engelstein and Brian Tucker. So we get more of an understanding of what's going on and what happened with the Skrulls on their planet, Skrulls. There was a battle between the Kree and the Skrulls were losing badly. All right. So we're going to find out exactly the result of that, what happens to the survivors of the planet Skrullos. All right. So it starts off in 1997, all right, in London. And then this is where Fury is actually giving a speech to the survivors that are on planet Earth. And he's talking to them about not necessarily living here on Earth permanently, but just temporary until he could find them a planet. All right. So he promised that he was going to find these Skrulls a home planet. And he made that promise. The only thing that he asked them to do is to make sure they put on their new face and have it on at all times. All right. Which is pretty interesting that that speech is coming from a person like Fury. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Right. When the Skrulls came forward, the ones who decided to take the pledge, they came forward, they took their natural green skin and they shape shifted into a human. All right. And the ones who came forward, did that. They turned themselves into human skin, and we're ready to go. Now, present day, the Skrulls are still here on planet Earth. All right. New home, nowhere to be found. We know that Fury was gone for a good long time. There was this great scene on a train with Ben Mendelsohn and Samuel Jackson, Talos, and this Nick Fury. And, Fury's on a train and, they're going from Moscow to Warsaw. Again, the Moscow police, Russian police are looking for this Black American. So, the subject of race is still coming up in this series. This is the second time. So this is going to be a factor. Race is going to be a factor. All right. And I want to talk about that. So the conversation that Fury and Talos are having on the train, Fury goes into, his experience, the black experience, him as a man growing up in the South. He's from, don't know if he was born in Alabama, but he's from Alabama. He was talking about a train ride that he and his mom used to take. They're in a car back then, because of segregation, there were cars for colored people and cars for others. And the ones who were, colored folks had to sit in those cars where they're very hot, far away from everybody else. They weren't able to dine at the same place where these passengers could dine. So his mother would pack, this lunch, the food of chicken and all that good stuff. And this was leading into Fury talking about this game that his mother played with him called Tell Me Something I Don't Know. So he wants to play this game with Talos, right? So he says, Talos, tell me something I don't know. Fury starts first, and he tells, an example of a story that he told his mother back in the day. Um, that he was having this relationship with this girl, but he didn't give too many details about it. So now it's Talos' turn to tell Fury what he knows. And Talos actually tells him the whole story. All right. Didn't Fury didn't know everything, but he does know now that while Fury was gone and the Skrulls are looking for a planet for so many years, and the people who are left on Skrulls are still in this battle with the Kree. Talos was able to bring more of his people from Skrulls to Earth. How many, you say? About 1 million people. And when Fury heard this, he flipped, and he was upset. And then, Talos, was right. Fury, where were you? You weren't there. You weren't there to help us. What did you want us to do? What could I do? I either just leave them there on the planet to die, or I bring them here and give them new life. What is wrong with that? Living here on Earth. And, Fury right out came out and said, well, humans can't even get along with each other. Now, how do you expect that, Skrulls and humans are going to live together? All right. So this made Fury very upset that we have 1 million people across the, all over the world, and we don't know who are Skrulls and who are not. That's pretty bad. Okay. We have no idea who they are or where they live. There's not enough room or tolerance on this planet for another species. Okay. So that's where we are. And I wanted to talk about that. And I just wanted to, see if there was anyone in Q&A that we can talk to. Let's see who's here. Eric. Eric, thank you for joining me. Skrulls are a metaphor for real life refugees of non Western nations hoping to find a better life in Western nations. Exactly true. Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit more. Alex, I wonder if Captain Marvel helped the Skrulls or was absent. I don't know. I get the impression that she also was not available, not around. I don't know. I think that's going to be explained probably in the Marvels film. I think there will be a tie-in to what's happening in this series to the new film with the Marvels. Maybe she was busy. We don't know what's going on, but we'll find out. I do believe though we're gonna know, and I wouldn't be surprised if she shows up towards the end of the series. Eric says xenophobia and racism are very similar, so I think they bring up Fury's race because it connects to the wider themes of the series. Yeah, and that's something I want to talk about. So as let's just go through the comments. Why do you think Marvel is weaving notions of race throughout secret invasions? Right. I think it's great. There's some good social commentary and it feels realistic too. I do. Yeah, it's intentional. So I definitely want to talk about it. So let's go back to the scene where Fury is talking to this group of Skrulls and he's telling them that they can stay, but there are some rules that they have to follow. And I'm thinking, and the next scene transitions to Fury talking about his experience of living as a Black American in the South, all right, from the South, where there was segregation. So something that I've experienced, I can only talk about my experience as a Black man, especially in a corporate world. I was told that you had to dress a certain way, look a certain way, you had to wear your hair a certain way, you had to speak in a way and carry a demeanor, learn how to shake hands, a firm handshake. That's not something that they teach you in school, but along the way, people that you meet, they tell you these things, about, make sure you wear a suit and a tie when you go on interviews and, make sure your hair is short. I couldn't wear my hair long going to work. Um, those are the things that, we were told to do. That's something that I had to do. And to me, that's similar to what Fury is telling the Skrulls that, okay, well, you need to look like everyone else, or else you'd be considered a threat. There are some, you, to be honest with you, there are times when, if, you know, you have to carry yourself in a way where you don't seem threatening to other people. And that's exactly what, coming from Fury, a black man who is aware and knows about that, I'm sure he has heard the same thing, that you really have to make sure that you're careful to not feel threatening, to feel that you fit in. All right. It's very important, especially in the corporate world, and especially in, some, in the military, I would expect, with Fury moving up the ranks with Shield, um, you know, he is who he is, but there are certain rules that he had to follow in order to fit in. And this actually ties in very nicely when we get to talking about the conversation with Rhodey and Fury, which is very interesting. So, all right. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I just thought, yes, race seems to be a factor in this series. Let's see if it continues that way. All right. So now London. Let's talk about Gravik. All right. Gravik. I Last week when we were talking about Gravik, the character Gravik, and I didn't think that he was menacing enough. In this episode, I thought he took it to the next level. Kingsley Benadir was fantastic. He he has this calm demeanor, but he's very forward and very scary. And it's not like he has to yell to get people's attention. Um, but just the way he carries himself, the way he talks, uh, he picks out the right words to say, and he's very succinct when he's talking to people, and you understand where he's coming from. And so I want to talk about that scene where he's sitting with the council. So the council, you know, if you've seen it, we know that there are all Skrulls, right? Okay. But it's very interesting the positions that these Skrulls have taken, because the idea is to dominate, right? So if you need to, you want to be in a position of power, you want to be a politician. You want to be a news pundit, because news pundits can reach people all over the world, right? So, and this is what the Skrulls have at this table. They have a Secretary General, who's the head of NATO. We have the UK Prime Minister is at the table, a news pundit, FX News, hint, hint. And then we have a person named Shirley, which I really don't know exactly what Shirley does, but I think we're going to see her again because she had a lot to say at this meeting. So, so back to Gravik, and Gravik is there. He walks into the room, and again about appearance. Let's talk about appearance again. So when the member of the Secretary of NATO looked at what Gravik was wearing, he says, "Oh, well, I guess you didn't get the memo about the attire." Once again, looks are important. Looks are is a way for you to fit in. Gravik walked in with just a jumpsuit. He didn't come in with a shirt and a tie, but that's expected, right? And that was brought up at the meeting. So, and Gravik called them out, said, "Oh, well, you wear the man's clothes and you drink the man's wine and you're sitting back and you're all, nice and happy, but you're not aware of the big picture that humans, since the beginning of time, have been trying to annihilate themselves." So what he's doing is just speeding up the process. He's just having the inevitable happen. Okay. So that's where he's coming from. So that's the reason why he wants to take over Earth, right? Because he thinks the humans, they're gonna self-destruct anyway. They're gonna go after themselves, they're gonna kill themselves, and he's just gonna be there, or he's gonna speed up the process. All right. So let me know what you think of what we spoke about so far. Let me talk to me about what you think about the council. Talk about Gravik. If he is that powerful of a villain. Last week I misjudged him, but this episode he's pretty menacing. So Eric, Gravik and his crew wouldn't have the drive to kill humans if humans treated them fairly. That's a very good point. Yeah, and you know what? That's actually, Eric, that's an excellent point, because let's go back to when Fury had that speech, and he was talking about the Skrulls living on Earth temporarily with their new skin, looking like they're, themselves, not being themselves, but having that human form. He said, if you want to live in my home, you have to follow these rules. So he didn't say our home. So Fury has no intention of having these Skrulls live for a long period of time on Earth. So he made that very clear. This is not your home. It's his home. and that he wants to make sure that you're only here temporarily until you get your new place. And I think that's what's making the Skrulls angry, because okay, we're not welcome here on Earth, but yet you haven't helped us to find a new home. And you're right, Eric, and I think that's where the anger from Gravik is coming from. Alex says, I'm thinking more about the show and its themes, and it reminds me of my own experiences as an Asian American that struggles with identity. Absolutely. Yeah. I think yeah, it's something that, yeah, minorities or immigrants, something that they have to go through when they come to, this country, or to fit in, have to speak the language, or you have to, again, you have to have that look. You have to, style your hair a different way, so that it does come down to identity, and um, it's, it is the way it is. And again, as Black Americans, we're Americans. We live in this country. We're born in this country, but yet we still feel that we have to fit in. And we have to work to make a point, and to make a contribution to whatever we do to our job, to as a fellow countryman. We have to feel that we're contributing, and that our voices are being heard. So yeah, so it is about that. Yeah, especially from people who have come from different countries and trying to fit in. All right. So yeah, and I'm although I am not born um, in America, I was born in Barbados. So I immigrated here when I was a very young, 1 year old. Actually, I was almost a year old. So America really is the country all I know. I've been back to Barbados a few times, but I'm an American. I'm an Asian American. I have a U.S. citizenship. I vote here, have a U.S. passport, but it's not easy. We have something, I don't know, if anybody's heard the term code switch, you know, it's something that's a reality, for us, where we have to, there's a certain way that we have to approach people. Like if we feel comfortable, talking to, uh, if I'm talking to another Black man or a sister, I'll say, what's up? Or, I say, hey brother, hey sister, how you doing? I can't say that in the workplace, to uh, my boss, like, Mr. So and so, how are you? How are you this morning? It has to, the tone has to be different. The presentation has to be a little different. But that's a part of, um, you know, being an American and working in corporate America. Now I'm just talking about corporate America. I mean, of course, there's other, uh, you know, uh, you know, occupations out there. Maybe that's not as important, but it's something that I have to experience. All right. Okay. So now, all right, Alex, excellent points throughout. I agree this episode did a great job in developing Gravis' character. Also, your points and the show got me thinking about struggling to fit in, culture clashes. Yeah, absolutely. And always feeling like one fits in 100%. Yeah, I think we all go through that. Yeah, we do. Yeah. Nick Fury offers has similarities of Dreamers, DACA. There you go. Stipulations and not intended to actually assimilate. Yeah, very good. Yeah. So it really does seem to me that, this is an immigration story. These Skrulls are just people who were from a country or from a planet, that is engaged in war. People are losing their lives, so they want to come over to a new planet to start a new life. Um, but they never felt like they never felt that Earth was their home. And I think, Fury has a lot to do with that. But I can understand where Fury wants to make sure that people don't know that they're Skrulls. I can understand that, but I think 20 years. I think the problem is, not finding them a planet where they can live. I think that was the issue, and I think he just dropped the ball on this, and now he's got this big mess that he has to take care of on his own. All right, so yeah, so we talked about London. So the end of this conversation with the council, Um, how it ends is that Gravik is now given this title of being the one in charge of the council, right? He is now considered the prime minister, the Skull General. All right, so he has this title, and this is given to him by the UK prime minister, who is a Skrull, as we already talked about. She appoints him the Skrull General, and then the um, other persons in the room submits to the idea, except for Shirley. Again, we still don't know who Shirley is, and I was very concerned about her because I didn't think she would walk out of that room alive, but she did, and she made a phone call to Talos because Talos is looking for Gaia, his daughter, and Gravik. So he wants Shirley to set up a meeting between himself and Gravik. So we'll see what happens in the third episode. And speaking of Gaia, do you think she's a spy? Because she really hasn't done much in this episode except shadow Gravik. I think what she's doing is just getting intelligence that she can give to her dad to see if they can take him down. Because she's just going everywhere that Gravik goes, and she's seeing what's happening behind the scenes. She attended, or she stood outside the meeting door, but she knew what was going on. She knows what Gravik's intentions are. So is she really working for him? And then Gravik is a very smart man. I think he knows that maybe Gaia is spying for Talos. I don't know. I mean, it just seems that he's just having her tag along. She's his driver, and he just seems to be very calm and cool about it. Um, but yeah, again, Kingsley Benadire. I'll say it right now. I don't know if anyone else is talking about it. I'm a James Bond fan. I'm going to say it right here. I'm going to vote for Kingsley Benadire to be the next Bond. What do you think? Let me know what you think. When I saw him again in this episode, and the scene that takes place in the meat locker that's coming up, um, I see Bond. All right, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, so now let's move on. So Eric, I think Gaia is going to go good, and she'll betray the extremist skulls. Yeah, yeah, I think so. But again, I think Gravik is really is onto her. I think he's very smart. I don't know how far she's going to get, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Let's talk about Fury and Rhodey. This was an amazing conversation. All right. And this is, heavyweights, in acting. Don Cheadle, Samuel L. Jackson. So Rhodey is in a position where he's working on behalf of the president. He knows that what happened in Moscow is a big mess, and he is talking to the heads of state and explaining, well, I don't know anything about Fury or Maria Hill being in Russia. I need proof. He's just trying to play it off like he has no idea what's going on. Then after the meeting, he gets a phone call from Fury. Fury is watching him, and he says, "Oh, that's a nice suit. What is that, Armani?" And here again, appearance. All right, that's there's a connection there about appearance. About how you portray yourself. And Rhodey says, "No, it's Briani." So the two of them have this meeting, and then again, I see the black experience again. So now you have two black men, and this is all intentional. Two black men sitting down at a table, and they both have different views of opinions of what is happening. Rhodey is looking at Fury as a man who made a lot of mistakes, and he doesn't know how to get out of it. So Fury was his plan was to tell Rhodey that we got a problem, that there are spies everywhere and we don't know it. Surprisingly, Rhodey already knows that. He knows that there are Skrulls out there, but it doesn't look like he's going to do anything about it at the moment, which, you know, it could be because maybe Rhodey's a Skrull. I hope not, because I think this was a great scene. I can understand Rhodey's anger towards Fury, and I can understand why Fury is angry with Rhodey. But basically, Fury says, "Hey, look, we're two brothers, two black men, right? We had to rise to our positions, right? He mentioned, and I want to give a shout out to the writers of the show, Brian Tucker and Brant Engelstein. The conversation that Fury was having, he mentioned about the struggle, about working your way up to the top, working through the ranks. It was very difficult, for the two of them. And I can expect that because Fury said that men who look like us don't get promoted because of who our daddies know. That's not the truth. That's not true, right? So they didn't get it because of favors. And then Fury goes on to say that every power that we wrestled from the vice grip of the mediocre Alexander Pierces, who ran this world, was earned in blood. All right. So that's the struggle. And Alexander Pierce, if you recall, was played by Robert Redford. You saw him in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So there's a name drop there. All right. But then Rhodey comes back with a zinger and says, "Oh, the reason why we wrestled this power from mediocre men who don't look like us was not simply to turn it around and hand it to a mediocre man who do." Meaning Fury. He's calling out Fury and calling him a mediocre man. Fury took much offense to that. And then at the very end, Rhodey fires Fury. It's like, wow. So here we are, these two men, they're, the two black men who are, at the top of their game. And, as in corporate world, like the higher you go, the less you see of African Americans at the top. So there are two people at the prime of their, top of their game, and they're in their prime, and one has to fire the other. So Nick didn't take that very well, and he says, even when I'm out, I'm in. And then he walks out of the place, but you could tell that the words that came from Rhodey really impacted him and hurt him. And you just saw him sat down outside the building and collapse on the bench. So don't know. I mean, to me, we were thinking last week that because Fury has been out of the loop for so long that he's lost his step, that he's lost touch with what's going on. I don't know. I don't see that. I think Fury is, there's a lot of things that's happening around him that he didn't know about, but not that it's his fault that he didn't know, although he could have prevented it. But it doesn't mean that he's lost his game. I think he knows exactly what needs to be done next. And we're going to see what happens in the third episode. But I thought it was a wonderful, well acted scene between Don Cheadle and Samuel L. Jackson. All right, let's see what we have for Q&A. So, Alex, both Fury and Rhodey made excellent points. Yes, they did. It's some of the best dialogue I've seen in the MCU. I totally agree with you, Alex. It was really right on point. Rhodey and Fury was my favorite part. I agree. That was my favorite part. Um, Kingsley Benadere, Alex, would be an excellent Bond. As graphic, he's cool and calm, but also strategic, charismatic also. All the good traits for Bond. I'm with you on that. It's just amazing. I think he's being, this show is going to really do something for his acting career because it's a big show. It's Marvel. It's on a big stage. I think the producers of the Bond series are looking at him. I would not be surprised. Yes. I think there was something else about, yeah, Eric, I can't give the best advice on who would make a good Bond. I've only seen 3 films. That's all right. Not a problem. Not a problem. But yeah, I think he should be in the running if not already. All right. So now let's move on to the Super Skrulls. Let's talk about the Super Skrulls. So now it looks like that is the next step for Gravik. He wants to create these Super Skrulls with these superpowers to really be a foil for the Avengers if they were to appear. Now, there was a couple of times that, their names, the Avengers were addressed. Well, should we call the Avengers? What should we tell the Avengers? They keep hinting that maybe we might see one or two. But Gravik is out there and he's ready. He's got something for them. Especially that was at the meeting as well, the council meeting. One of the persons asked him, well, "What are you going to do if the Avengers find out? Or what if the Avengers strike?" And then coolly and calmly, Gravik says, "Don't you think I already have that plan? Don't you think I have something in place already?" There you go, the Super Scroll. So let's see. So we got Groot. So if you look at it, they're very similar to the superpowers of the Fantastic Four, but they're not the Fantastic Four. Groot has the ability to grow limbs, extend limbs, so that'd be Mr. Fantastic. You got Frost Beast, who is supposed to be invisible woman, but not invisible. That's not the superpower. It's Frost. It's the extreme because you have Frost, and you also have the extremist, who is the heat, the Human Torch, and then you have the Cull Obsidian, who is this hulking thing-like character. So that's what's coming next. They're created by scientists Rosa and Victor Dalton. As far as I know, they are not in the comic books. I went back and researched it. I did not see their names in the comics. These are brand new characters, but that looks like that's where Graphic is going, creating these Super Skrulls. Let me know what you think of the Super Skrulls. Do you have any opinions about it? And are they a match for the Avengers? All right, there you go. Let's talk about Fallsworth, torture tactics. Olivia Colman, she is such an impressive actor. I just love her character. She is so confident. She'll walk in and walk out, and you don't know that you were hit until she walks out the door. She's just that type of person. She just comes in, does what she has to do, and leave out. So we have a scene where she is actually interrogating an American who's accused of setting off the bomb in Moscow, which we know the American had nothing to do with it. That was all Gravik. And by the way, we found out that 2,000 people lost their lives in the bombing. So now she is interrogating this person, this actor. Um, Again, he had nothing to do with the bombing, but he's pretending to take the heat for Gravik. And speaking of heat, she has a tactic where one, she cut off the man's finger and reveals that he is a Skrull, and then she boils his blood. she raises his heat level to an all-time high. So comes out to, let's see, Keith actually did the calculation. So 160 degrees centigrade would equal 320 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't think anybody would survive if they had a 320 degree temperature. But but he talked. He fell right into Fallsworth, and gave her the information that she needed, and she found out about um, that there is two doctors. She gave them the names of Dalton, so she has something to go on. All right. So, and then this is where the big scene comes in where prior to her interrogating, we had Russians, because it happened on Moscow. It happened in Moscow, so the Russians are uh, taking it into their own hands to beat this dude down, right, and get some answer from him. That wasn't working. Fallsworth told them to all leave, and then she took care of business. And then she took an exit down to the floor. There was a trap door, and she went down and she left. And here comes Gravik and his gang, and started tearing up the place, shooting up the place, and leaving bodies all over, casualties. And they grabbed the American who was interrogated. And Gravik asked the question, "What did you tell them?" The guy says, "Nothing." "Are you lying? Did you tell them something?" And the guy said, "No, Gravik, I haven't told him anything." Gravik says, "Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Put him in the car. Let's take him back to the location." Never went back to his home. Took him out in the woods. Don't need to explain what happened after that. You get, someone's driving you into the woods. Chances are, you know, I don't know if you ever seen The Sopranos, but I've seen a couple of wood scenes where people get driven to the woods and you never see them again. So that's what happened. So let's move on. So let's talk about the ending. This was very interesting. This was a twist. Fury. Um, I guess he has his car in a garage somewhere. He takes off the tarp, gets in the car, drives off a few miles, heads to this nice home, very beautiful home from the outside. Walks inside. You see a Skrull cutting up some vegetables in the kitchen, and then as soon as Fury turns the corner and enters the kitchen, is this lady in human form, and she's looking at Fury and she says, "You know what to do." Fury steps out, grabs his ring, walks back into the kitchen, puts the ring back on his finger, and she says, "Ah, all right, there you go. Fury is married to a Skrull." And I believe it is the same woman. This is, people are saying it's not, but I think it is. Uh, at the very beginning of the episode, there was this Skrull named Vara who introduces a young Gravik to Fury, right? So I don't know her connection to Gravik, but apparently she might be some type of adult supervisor. Oh, well, his parents, by the way, Gravik's parents died during the war with the Kree. So I guess she might have been his foster parent or took him in. And so she introduced Gravik, young Gravik, to Fury back in the 90s. And, Gravik, I get the impression Gravik took on Fury took on Gravik as sort of a son. Then they're not flesh and blood, but he's probably treated this little boy as his son for all these years, which would explain why he let Gravik get away when the bombing took place in Moscow. Because I mean, he saw him face to face, so and he knew each other. But so I think Vara is the person that Fury is married to. Now, here's a question: do you think Fury knows she is a Skrull? I'll put that out there. I think he does know. I absolutely think he does know. I'd be very, I would be very surprised and disappointed if he doesn't know, because that means, okay, well, Fury, I think you are not on top of your game if you can't see us. If you don't know that a person who is your wife, you're intimate with this person, that she has to be a Skrull. And now that brings me back to the very beginning of the episode. Remember when Fury said about putting on a new face? I believe that he knows that she's a Skrull, and that his preference is that whenever they're together as husband and wife, that she appears before him in human form. That's my take. And I think that's intentional. That, when she's not around, or when he's not around, she could be herself, her natural self, have, the Skrull, look like the Skrull, but as soon as he walks in the door, oh, gotta put my human face back on, because that's what my husband wants. All right. So that's it. That's what I think. All right, and that was the episode. So again, I know episode 3 just dropped. If you've seen it, please don't drop any spoilers, because I want to take a look at it first. But that's it. That is episode 2. So Eric thinks, excuse me, Eric thinks he knows. His marriage explains why he said Talos is far from the most attractive Skrull he has met. That's a very good point. Exactly. He said in the first episode, he said, Talos, no, I've seen better looking Skrulls than you. And there you have it. Alex says, I wonder where Fury's wife was when he faked his death during Captain America Winter Soldier. Glad she was able to stay away from Hydra's radar, though. I think he knows she's a Skrull. Yeah, I do think she knows she's a Skrull. That's a good question. I don't know how long ago Fury would have met her. I'm thinking it had to be around the time of Captain Marvel. See, now the timeline. See, that's why Keith needs to be here. He's better with the timeline than I am. So I think he may know the answer to that question. But as far as the timeline, I know that Captain America takes place back in the 90s. And the Winter Soldier, I'm not quite sure if the Winter Soldiers is before did I say Captain America? I'm not sure if Captain America, the Winter Soldier, takes place chronologically before Captain Marvel or after. I'm not sure, but I do know that it must have happened during the time when the Skrulls landed on Earth in the Captain Marvel film. I think a low stake Avenger they can add is Bucky. So you think we might see Bucky? Interesting. Interesting. No, what about Captain Marvel? Because we know her movie is coming out in November. Do you think we would see Carol Danvers? Let me know. Alex, Gravik is kind of like Thrawn and Sun Tzu, so strategic and being many ways step ahead. Yep, being many steps ahead. Very good point. Yeah, I like that. And Thrawn has that demeanor as well, where he's very calm and collected, and he's intimidating, and he doesn't have to say a word to you, and you can just sense how scary he is. That's the type of person he is. So very impressed with Kingsley Benadir's performance. Falsworth was like Jack Bauer and brutality and torture while also being and she's telling jokes. She's just cracking jokes along the way. I mean, she's got the best lines, you know. She says, "Oh, you're a Skrull. Okay, now we got that out of the way." And so she's pretty good. I got majorly uncomfortable with 110 degrees weather. Yeah, exactly. Right. Imagine 320 degrees. I love that this series has Mace Windu, director Krennic, and Kira. Yeah, how about that? You know, so yeah, and I guess we can't complain. You know, they're very good actors. At least you don't say to yourself, okay, well, Fury and Mace Windu seem like the same character, where they're absolutely not. Talos and Krennic, not even close. Kira and Gaia. I don't know. I think that not. I'm not saying that Amelia Clark is not doing a very good job, but she's very subtle with her acting because she's not really saying a whole lot. She's just observing. So it's really hard to say exactly what she's trying to do. Kira had a plan. She really expressed herself very well, but Gaia is very laid back and just sitting back and just taking it in, which again makes me think that she is a spy. And I'd be very surprised if Gravik doesn't know that. I think he does. I think he's just waiting until the right time to reveal how much he knows about Gaia, but we'll see. I think she's going to be in a lot of trouble soon. So Taylor's going to find her very quickly. I think we'll see Carol. All right. Carol Danvers. It'll be an excellent tie-in promo for the Marvels. I think it makes sense. I mean, you got to have some type of tie-in to the Marvels. It's November, it's a little still ways, but they can start preparing us for Carol Danvers. Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, tell us. I love it. There you go. That's a great quote from Rogue One. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So that is the episode. So while we're starting to wrap up, there are a few more announcements that I want to make. There's quite a few. So just bear with me. So we want to talk about we have a new patron. His name is Jack. He just became a patron. Just wanted to give him a shout out. Jack, thank you so much for being a patron. He has joined us on our tier. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to us that you can support us monetarily. So we have a lot of plans to do a lot of things, and it does take time and it does take money. But we understand, for those who can give, we love it. And for those who can't, there are many ways you can contribute. Just like being on this live stream is wonderful. Just talking to you is great. So please continue to support us that way. And there's other ways, I guess, again, let people know who we are and tell them to subscribe to our channel. Still on the race to 1,000. Want to talk about Indiana Jones. We've already gone through all 5 films. So if you are a fan of the films, if you've seen them or you don't have time to see them, but you want to just get a wrap up of each film, we've done that already. So take a look and look out for all 5 reviews of the Indiana Jones films. Want to talk about the redemption of Jar Jar Binks. This is a brand new podcast. It just dropped a week ago. It's a 6-part series. Episode 1 and 2 may be available by now, but it is by Dylan Marin. I've listened to all 6 episodes. It's fantastic. So I highly recommend it. It's a revisit of one of the most divisive characters on the big screen. The 6-episode series will discuss toxicity in the fandom, race, and what have we learned from this controversy more than 20 years later. Okay, so please check that out. StarWars.com. We just wanted to promote this article, StarWars.com. Thank you so much once again to Clayton Sandell and Kristen Baver for putting that together. But you can find our article there. We could put the link under this episode in our YouTube channel and in our socials. And then next month in August, we're going to be traveling. We're going to 2 more Comic-Cons. Well, 2 that we know. There might be more towards the end of the year, but 2 that we have in place from August 4th to August the 6th, we will be at Fan Expo in Boston. All right. So that's going to be pretty cool. I've only been to Boston once. It was many years ago. I can't wait to get back there. So we will be at the Fan Expo in Boston from August the 4th to August 6th. And the week after that, we will be in Chicago for the Fan Expo there. And that is from August the 10th through the 13th. All right. So we're putting that out there. If you're there, great, wonderful. Come up to us and say hello. If you're not going to be there, don't worry about it. I'm sure we'll at some point have a video as to whatever the podcast, the episode that we're going to present on the panel. So we will be on the panel, on the stage, the podcast stage at both Boston and Chicago. So truly wonderful. It's awesome to do a live podcast in front of people. It's awesome. So Keith and I and the rest of our family will be there. So if you can make it to Boston or Chicago, great. Just it's awesome. So we'll keep mentioning it, reminding people about it in the coming weeks. Okay. If that is all, final comments. Eric, I'm working on a Jar Jar fan novel. Wow. All right. Keep us posted. Keep us updated on that. I want to hear about that. That's excellent. But while we wait for our final Q&A, just want to let you know that we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Father.Son.Galaxy. We're on our YouTube channel, as you know. We also have a website. We have a merchandise store. We have a Patreon page. So you would be able to find us anywhere you look. And you can get us on all your streaming platforms, Apple, Google Podcasts, Good Pods. We are there. All right. We are there. And very important to leave a comment. Any of these episodes that are, if they ring true for you or, something that resonates with what we say, please tell us and let us know whether it's good or bad. We like feedback either way. So please just do us a favor and leave us some feedback on anywhere you listen to our podcast. Okay. And once again, we're on the race to 1,000 subscribers. We can do this. We're close. We can do this. All right. So that is it. So any final comments? All right. So we are good. So thank you once again, everyone, for tuning in. We will be back this coming Sunday and we'll review episode 3 of Secret Invasions. But this is our episode 2 review, spoiler review. I hope you enjoyed it. So until next time, take care and we will see you again.